then we found out it was Oscar. So it's just mixed. And that feeling in my stomach has not left me in the last 5 years. Yesterday, I started getting anxiety. I have anxiety watching my son sit up there and talk. But I'm so proud of what he did. He's my son, and he wasn't the only son up there. I got another son that was right next to Oscar that was murdered. But I thank the community for everything they did to protect these young men, because a lot of people don't know. These young men, after Oscar was murdered, they would be walking down the street, they would be kidnapped. They would be taken to jail, and one time they beat up one of Oscar's friends named Jason after the funeral, and they broke his arm, and they took Michael Greer to jail and my son Jackie, and they had their t-shirts on, and the police took their t-shirts. And then the police also said, after they told one of the young men, what are you gonna do? Oscar's not here now. You know what I mean? So these are the things that we went through. I had an apartment. The police used to come and sit in front of our house. And one time, Michael Greer and Jackie were walking down the street, and a police officer drove by him and went just like this to him. Another time, the police, I remember my son called me and he was like, "Dad, someone's beating on the door." And I was like, "Who?" He said, they were trying to serve my son to go to trial, and there was 2 police officers, because like Minister Keith said, Michael Raines is in control of all California police officers. So what he did, he sent some police officers to my house, and they were beating on the door. And I was at work, and my son said, "Dad, they're beating on the door." So I took off work, I double parked in the street, and I ran upstairs, and me and the police officers got into a confrontation and like tried to reach for his gun. And I said, we got into a big argument. He said, "You Jackie Bryson?" I said, "I don't gotta fucking tell you who I am." He said, "Are you Jackie Bryson?" And I said, "Yeah." And the idiot served me because he was trying to serve my son. He thought I was Jackie Bryson. These are the things that we have to know. And what's so important is, I want everyone to know, after John Burns always said, before we were getting ready to go, he said that a black man's life or a brown man's life means nothing to Bart or anyone. So when we were sitting, after they settled with Wanda, then they would call and they say, "Okay, bring the boys in, we're gonna settle with them the next day." You know, and I swear to God, it hasn't been about money to these young men. They didn't want it. John Burns had to force them to. So anyway, they said, "Bring the young men in and we're gonna settle with them." So the young men went in, and how much does anyone think that they offered these young men on a settlement?
$500.
No, they offered them $500 and told them to take it and leave it.
$500? Huh?
$500. And then the judge, one of the judges, he came in and he apologized. He said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I'm honored to meet you guys. And my suggestion is to go to trial." And that's what my son Jackie said. He said, "Mr. Burris," excuse me for saying this, but my son Jackie told Mr. Burris, he said, "Mr. Burris, it ain't about the money, it's about the principle, what they did to my friend, what they did to Oscar and what they did to my friend." He said, "You can go tell them crackers right now, we'll see them in trial." You know, so that's, and then one more thing, I'm proud of my son right here, because a lot of people don't know, while all this organizing was going on, the DA, they were following these young men to their houses, they were beating on these doors, they were being served. So I told them I'll bring them in for questioning. They want to talk to them about, you know, what happened that night. So when we used to go meet the DAs, it was like, these dudes were like secret, I don't know, like they was terrorists, because we were surrounded by so many DAs being escorted in. And my proudest moment is, a lot of people don't know this, I didn't want to share it, is when my son Nigel was talking to the DA, and he told him what happened, and the DAs were quiet, they were looking at each other, and I remember the DA was doing this, and he dropped the pen, and he said, "I guess we got to charge him with murder," you know. And because of what my sons and the other young men were telling them, but it has more to do with, those were proud moments, you know. And one more thing, and I'll say this, if you have 3 judges, you have Judge Jacobs, who told Johannes Mesley, Mr. Keith, you were there, when he told Judge Jacobs told Johannes Mesley, "I believe you intended to do murder, and I believe you didn't, it wasn't an accident, so I'm sending you to trial for murder." Then he went to Judge Clay, that was historic. The DA tore him up. He tore him up. Judge Clay said, "I don't believe," go ahead.
So I have no doubt in my mind that you intended to use your gun. Not you to take
And you killed Oscar Grant. So then he said, "I'm sending you to another judge, Judge Reardon." what did Judge Reardon say? Third judge. He said, when they tried to appeal it, he said, I believe you intended to kill Oscar Grant, and I believe it wasn't an accident, so I'm sending this trial to LA. So you have 3 judges in Alameda County that said they believe Johannes Mesley intended to kill Oscar Grant and it wasn't an accident. You cannot, 3 judges said you did not mistake your taser for,
That's right.
you know. So then, but this
3
is
separate judges.
3 judges said they believe he committed murder. Then we go to LA, and this is when it was sent to Judge Perry. What we found out about Judge Perry is that Judge Perry was the judge that was in charge of the Rampart Police Department's case, who freed all the police officers that were committing murders, selling drugs, that were involved in Tupac's murder, that were involved in Biggie Smalls' murder. So this is the judge that
Has a pattern for letting off officers.
Exactly. So these are the things that, I mean, I can go on and on and on. It's just like right now I got so much anxiety because this is like the 5th year, but it seems like it's not going away. You know, I feel like I look at my son, I hold back tears. I look at the other young men. There's one other young man who was on the platform that was with Oscar Grant that night, John Tu Cotwa, who was a dear friend to my son. He was like a big brother. He was also murdered. And they haven't even solved his murder. They even haven't, in broad daylight, you shoot a man 8 times, and then the camera, there's no camera in the gas station. But when my sons used to go to that gas station, they used to call us and say, hey, your son is up here buying blunts, or your son is hanging in front of the gas station. We got him on camera. So I'd go up there and talk to the gas station man. But the day John Tu Cotwa was murdered, the police said there was no camera. And John Tu was one of the young men on the platform. So these are the things that we go through. But what I like to say, I mean, we named some people in here, but Hannibal, he was one of the first people that was out there organizing. He was, you know, he did his thing. He was out there. Gerald Sanders was out there. You know, I can't name everybody. Roz was out there. You know, so there would be no movie, there would be no Oscar Grant if it wasn't for everyone in this room. You know, there's people out there taking credit for Oscar Grant, but those aren't the people that matter. The people that matter are the people that are in this room that did the work from day one.
Let's give it up.
All right, let's take a question from back here first, or any one of the panel.
I just want to make 2 statements. I want to question the whole thing of mock trials before we have to question, one, how this